From Botswana, but currently based in Australia. Since her debut mixtape in 2015, she has stuck firmly to her sound, which encapsulates rap and poetry. She has earned widespread acclaim, opening for acts such as Kendrick Lamar, while also performing on quite a number of stages. Sampa the Great released her second album titled Birds and The BEE9 and has received positive feedback from the public. Her latest performance saw her take to the stage at Johannesburg's Untitled in Braamfontein on Friday. She now joins me now in studio to tell us more about herself and of course her music. A very good morning to you, Sampa the Great.
Good morning. How are you
doing?
You too. I'm good.
Good to see you, man, and welcome. Hey.
Thank you.
Sampa the Great, where does that name come from?
Sampa is my actual name, but the Great is something that I put for myself to aspire to be. So the greatest version of myself.
Okay. So how does that relate to you as an artist?
Well, I think, you know, as a hip-hop artist and a female hip-hop artist, there's always pressure to be either this or that. But for me, I just put that in front of my name to, you know, help me reach that goal that I can be the greatest version of myself and not have to be anyone else.
Yeah. So how do you describe your sound? Hip-hop? Rap?
It's hip-hop, it's soul, it's R&B. I don't try and stick to one genre because, you know, I'd like to learn more music, but, you know, it's hip-hop centered.
So you are a versatile artist, hey?
I'd like to think so, yeah.
So which genre is closer to your heart?
I'd say hip-hop.
Okay.
You know, hip-hop has very many influences, so R&B, reggae, what have you, but I'd say hip-hop.
Okay. You recently performed at Joburg's Untitled in Braamfontein. How was that performance?
It was very beautiful. I was welcomed very openly. This is my first tour in Africa. So even though I was born in Zambia and raised in Botswana, I actually started my professional career in Australia. And so I did all my festivals, all my first shows in Australia. And for the first time ever, I've had to come back home and do my first shows in Zambia and Botswana.
And I'm sure in all the countries that you've been performing, your music has been received differently. So how was it received in South Africa, and where you based in Australia?
Yeah, so in South Africa, it was actually received very well. There were even people in the crowd like singing and rapping along, to my surprise, because, you know, you never come to a place and perform for the first time and have the expectation that people know what you... But it was actually really good and people were rapping along.
So where would you say that you draw your artistic inspiration? Like, who inspires you and who do you look up to in the industry?
Well, first it's life experiences, whatever I experience in my life, you know, pain, growth, whatever that is put into my music. But my musical influences would be Lauryn Hill, Tupac. I actually am very influenced by Thandiswa Mazwai as well. PK Chishala from Zambia, I'm very influenced by him and folk music from Zambia. So it stems from various places.
Okay, so do you write your own music or do you contribute in any way?
I actually write my own music.
So as you are busy in the process of writing your music, what is it that comes to your mind that will translate, of course, into your music?
What it is I'm trying to convey, what I'm trying to have people feel through the music, what topic are we all experiencing universally? It doesn't have to be just my life experience. What do we experience as humans universally that we don't talk about? And those are kind of the things that I put into my music.
You know, Sampa, you've worked with big names in the industry. You've had opening acts for some of the big names that we know of in the industry.
Yeah.
How has that validated you as an artist, if at all?
I think it's just, for me as an artist, I don't want to let these things validate, because you've done big things, then, you know, you're a great artist. But these are people who I respect, the music that I respect. And when I speak to them and they tell me that, you know, you're in the right path and you continue being you, it helps me understand that I'm doing what I need to do.
And I think it's very important that each and every artist should be the ones driving themselves, you know, the ones pushing them rather than waiting for a particular event for you to propel you to a certain level. And we just cannot overemphasize the importance of that.
100%. You have to have self-belief, your own motivation. No one else can do it for you but you, honestly.
Okay. So what should we expect from you?
I'm actually finished my album, my first album, and that's actually being released this year.
Yeah.
This was a big goal, my first African tour. I will be going to Europe to do my first show in Glastonbury as well. But this year is the year of more music for me.
Okay, so let's talk about your album. So how much work went into producing those albums?
It was a lot of work, a lot of emotion, a lot of time spent, which is the thing with an album. I think I went into it a bit stressed about, this is my first album. What am I supposed to say to convey who I am in just one whole album? But as soon as I just let all the control, leave it, and just express what I wanted to express, the album came together.
All right. And who did you work with?
I work with Silent J, who have worked before on BEE9 actually, and he executive produced the whole album.
BEE9, what's in that name?
Birds and The BEE9, obviously. Birds and the Bees is coming of age, and BEE9 means something that is not to be afraid of, or something that is not dangerous. So Birds and the Bees, coming of age as an artist with my music, and BEE9 is that it's nothing to be afraid of.
You know, I get the sense that you have matured as an artist, and you really have grown, hey? And all the best in your music.
Thank you so much.
And where do we get hold of your music?
If you look online under Sampa the Great, so on my socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is Sampa the Great, YouTube, my Spotify, my iTunes is Sampa the Great.
All right, man. The world is your oyster.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Thank
you so much for chatting to us. Well, that was Sampa the Great talking to us about her album Birds and The BEE9. For all of this and more, be sure to download the SABC app, where you can stay in the loop with all the news and, of course, stream all the radio stations on the SABC platform. This is Morning Love. Let's take a coffee break.